this is a perfect day for this. We were hoping that the fog would lift in time, and it has. So I'm thankful for that, and looks like a pretty good crowd. I'm thankful for that as well. Our guest today comes from Costa Mesa, and he runs a private nonprofit that he founded called Visions for Prison. And he has some pretty lofty goals. I want to share a few of them with you and maybe say a little bit of what I think he's going to talk about. He has one goal of putting in every inmate's hand in the United States a copy of the new book called Chicken Soup for the Soul, for the Prisoner's Soul. Some of you know that that's a new book that just recently came out. And he's in the process of raising several $1 million to do that. Also, he has a goal of seeing peace in prisons. Last year, he called for a day of peace in prisons in California.
All over the world.
All over the world. And his reports were that there were no incidences of violence on that day, January 1st. So he's calling for another day of peace in prisons, January 1st of 2001. And I heard about Mr. Milstein in September, I think. Someone recommended that I give him a call. And when I did call him in November, one of the things I noticed that he was so excited about coming, he would have come the next day or the next week. But I said, oh, wait a minute, it takes longer than that to get anything done here. So I had to get the gate clearance and get the video request signed and everything and have it all signed off. So I'm very glad that he chooses to be with us today. He has a lot of tools at his disposal. He's a teacher of attitudinal healing and of deep meditation, working on stress management and anger management, with the idea of working from the inside out. You know, we're not going to change this prison system of ours by a little group. We're going to change it one at a time on the inside by behaving so well they won't want to keep us here anymore. Go for that? Okay, so a lot of you are visa students, so I'm going to ask you to join with me in giving Mr. Dan Milstein a good, warm welcome.
So, namaste. Namaste is a Sanskrit word. And in India and Pakistan in the East, when they greet each other, they put their hands together in a prayer position and say namaste. And what that means is, the light in me honors the light in you. Or the spirit in me honors the spirit in you. Or the God in me honors the God in you. So namaste. It's a very good thing if you just learn that alone today. Your relationships with other people will be better. Because we immediately honor each other instead of judging each other by the way we look or who we are and all of that stuff, you know. So, as Mr. Peck said, my name is Dan, and I run an organization called Visions for Prisons. We have programs all over the world. Let's see, 1 week from today, I'll be in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And we have lots of programs in South America. We have programs in Eastern Europe and Bosnia and Croatia, where I started working with the Serbs and Croats during the war, because they were locked up in the same prison. And you heard about what the atrocities that were going on at that time. So having Serbs and Croats locked up in the same prison is sort of like having across the street gangs locked up in the same cell with each other, you know. And they didn't know what to do because they've never had that experience before. I drove up from Costa Mesa this morning. I left at 6:30. Takes 4 hours. I drive at 100 miles an hour all the time. And I'm driving home tonight. And the reason I tell you that is because I want you to know that it's a 4-hour drive up and a 4-hour drive back, and you're worth it. And I just got a new car. My wife bought me, so. We've been married for 31 years, and she finally gave me something. And no, I'm not going to let her see a copy of this tape when I said that. There's a, in this little Peace in Prison brochure, which I have copies for everybody, there's a bunch of little stories in it, little teaching stories. And one of the stories, in fact, the last story in the book I thought was pretty profound, was about this yogi that lives at about 12 or 13,000 feet in the Himalayas. It's pretty cold. And during the winter, the village where he lives all moves down to a lower altitude. They move down to around 6,000 or 7,000 feet because during the winter in this particular plateau in the Himalayas, the wind blows through there and it's so cold you can't possibly live there. But he has crippling arthritis. Have you ever seen anybody with that kind of arthritis that just twists up your hands and your legs and all that stuff? I mean, you just move a finger and it's just thoroughly painful. So during the winter months, they can't move him down the mountain. So he stays in his hut, and they give him coal and food. And then sometimes when the weather breaks, the village people, a couple of the village people will come up, not the village people with the cowboy hat, not that one. The people that live in the village, sorry, I'm easily distracted, as you can tell. This is going to take about 4 hours for this. The people from the village come back up and give him some more coal and some more food. But if the weather doesn't break, he stays up there by himself. And he was asked one day, how does it feel being up here by yourself for 3 months during the winter? And he says, it feels wonderful, especially since I have no choice. Now, this is my kind of hero, as you all can be. It feels wonderful because I have no choice. You know, you're only one thought away from being happy right now. I mean, if you're not. If you are happy, you're only one thought away from being sad. Okay? So, my idea is that if I change my attitude, if I change my thoughts, I change my life. Change your mind, change your life. Change your mind, change the world. You know? It's not rocket science. It works, and it always works. The problem that I see it is in the world, people don't tell anybody that. You know? You don't go up to your kids after they say, oh, I hate school. You don't go up to them and say, why don't you just change your mind? You say, oh, no, you can't hate school, you know, or you come up with something like that. Just change your mind, change your mind, change your mind. And this is a constant programming, a constant reprogramming. You know, I'm going to give you a method today, a little 12-step. I'm not a 12-step person, but a 12-step way of changing your mind very, very quickly and moving into the highest vibration that you can move into. And I talk about vibrations because we're only made out of water and clay. That's all this is clay and water with an energy system in it, you know, that breathes us. Isn't it odd that you're not plugged into the wall anywhere? How does that work? You're not plugged into the wall, you have no battery pack on you, and yet you're being breathed right now. Some force or some energy or some spirit inside of you is breathing you. That's pretty cool. There's an unconditional force that's giving you life right now, and it doesn't care what color you are or how much money you have. It doesn't care about your quote-unquote sins. It doesn't care about any of that stuff. It continues to give you life. So that's a very, very high vibration that's going on inside of you. No matter how you feel, it's still happening. You're still being loved unconditionally by that spirit. Okay? It breathes the saint and it breathes the mass murderer equally. It gives you breath. So that's a very high way of looking at each other, that you're being breathed by the same spirit and same energy that I'm being breathed by. It's sort of like that namaste thing, you know. There's a spirit inside of you which I honor. So this little method, it's called the Mudra of Light. And I have it in the middle of this little pamphlet right there. And I also have some little ones like this that you can put on your locker or fold up and stick in your pocket. I think I have enough for everybody. And I developed it in Brazil in a youth prison the night before I was going to a youth prison where they have 3,000 kids. And now I'm telling you this particular story about this prison in Brazil because, you know, we walk around complaining a lot. You know? Well, you don't have nothing to complain about compared to, okay? So that's another perspective, that a way for you to change your mind. This particular prison in Sao Paulo, Brazil, is filled with street kids. There's about 3,000 street kids in this prison. Sao Paulo is one of those places where if they have too many kids for the prison, when the cops pick them up, the street kids, when they pick them up in the middle of the night, they just shoot them. They take them out to the dump and they shoot them and kill them. We were invited to go to this prison about 3 or 4 years ago by a group of the mothers of the children who were in this prison. They ranged in age from about 10 or 11 to 16. There's 3,000 kids. And the guards would systematically kill 2 of the kids a week. They would beat them to death. I know. They would beat them to death as a control measure. Right? One of my volunteers down there is a young man. He's 25 years old, and he is a South American champion of Taekwondo for like 2 years in a row. He's a magnificent human being, very strong, very powerful. When he first went into that prison, when we left, he says, Dan, he says, remember when I went to the bathroom there? And I said, yeah. And he says, I still have to go to the bathroom. And I said, what are you talking about? He says, I couldn't even take it out in that room, let alone find the courage to pee, because that's the conditions of that particular prison. So it's, you know, when I use translators, I don't speak another language. I don't do very well at this one. Oh, I also should say, is speaking of languages, that I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, I'm just a regular human being, okay? I mean, I don't have any degrees and all of that stuff. Speaking of getting sidetracked. So, oh, God. And I'm on TV, too. That's it. Even makes it worse, you know? Who's that dumb guy? So anyway, we were invited by a group of the mothers of these children to go down and do some work with the kids and with the guards. Because a peaceful prisoner usually results in a more peaceful staff. It's a good thing to know. So we went down there about 3 or 4 years ago, and there has not been a child killed by a guard since we've been going down there. So that's 3 or 4 years. I'm going again next week. Okay, so I'm going to give you this little method, and it's called the Mudra of Light. Did I leave anything off so far? Did I just leave anything? Well, you don't have any attention span either, so we're perfect together. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, they do it on purpose. They do it in the yard, so the other kids can see. Yeah. So this little method was something that I developed down there to give to these kids. So it's called the Mudra of Light, and Mudra is another Sanskrit word, the oldest written language on this planet, Sanskrit. Another Sanskrit word that means a lock or a seal, not this, not that kind. where you seal yourself into an energy. You seal yourself to an energy. The prayer position, this prayer position that we did with Namaste is called a mudra. This is a mudra where we have both the good and the bad and all of that stuff, and we bring them together in the center and in front of our hearts, sometimes in front of our heads if we're very reverent about somebody. So this first mudra, and there's 12, and this is what's going to take the time, is to teach you about all of these mudras and what they mean, and then we'll practice it after that. This first mudra, and you can play with it while I'm doing it. This first mudra, you've probably seen some statues or some pictures of people sitting in meditation with their fingers like this. Well, this is a very, very ancient mudra that has great meaning to it. When you put your fingers together like this, you're doing the same thing as thousands and thousands of people who have sat in meditation in this pose have done for thousands of years. So you're creating this cellular memory of this lineage, this thread that goes back in history. People sit like this to acquire peace, to feel that inner peace. So when you do these mudras, you're touching upon something where your cells are starting to remember some ancient memory. And this particular mudra, the reason it's like this and not like this and not like this, and there's lots of different mudras, is because it has great meaning. We are mind, body, and spirit. Okay? We are mind, body, and spirit, becoming one human being and attempting to touch or connect to the divine, okay, in that circle of life. So I'm taking my mind and my body and my spirit, and I'm bringing them all together and attempting to create a connection to the divine when I sit like this. Now when I sit like this is also part of the first mudra, my affirmation is, I am light. I am light. Now, let me talk about ceremonies for a minute and rituals for a minute, and then I'll go back to I am light. Remind me where I am, because you know I'll go somewhere else. You know, most of us are on automatic thinking, yeah? You just think in a certain way automatically. Well, ritual, ceremony stops that pattern of automatic thinking. Well, isn't that a good thing to do, is to stop that pattern, you know? Because remember, this is just meat, okay? That's all that's in here is meat. It's mostly water. It's electrical and electrical connections and chemical reactions. See, there's no memory in there, there's no words in there, there's no pictures in there, there's none of that is in here, it's just meat. Okay? Now, let's train the meat to start thinking in the highest way that it can about ourselves. So I'm doing this ritual and I'm sitting here in the first position and I'm saying I am light. Now that's the highest truth of who we are. We are made of light. Everything in this room is made of light. It's all made of subatomic particles and protons and quarks and all of that kind of scientific stuff. I never went to high school either. I would know some of this stuff if I, then I'd blab even more. So when I'm saying I am light, I'm truly saying the highest thing that I can say about myself. Now, as you do this, you're going to start to receive some information back. When you sit and you say, I am light, and you just wait for a moment, you're going to start to receive information back with each one of these mudras. Now, some of that information that comes back to me when I say I am light says, you know what? I can be anywhere. I can go anywhere. There's another cool thing that says, nothing sticks to me. Okay? If I try and hang this book up here in the light, someday this is going to work. It might work now. Concentrate. Nope, didn't work. But if I try to hang that book up in the light, there's light here, it doesn't hang up in there. So if I say I am light, then nothing sticks to me. Okay? The other thing that I was just saying a moment ago was about I can go anywhere and do anything. When I close my eyes and say I am light, whoa. God says, okay. You know, all prayer is answered, by the way. You know that, right? All prayer is answered. So, speaking of this God saying thing, when you're walking around going, oh, I'm so broke, God says, okay. Huh? I'll never find a great relationship. Okay. So we need to watch what we say. So that's what we're doing here now. We're training the meat to say something else. You know? What would happen to this whole institution if all of you, just the people in this room, stopped complaining? Huh? Wouldn't it make it an easier place for you to live? So what a good thing to do is to stop complaining. And that we're going to talk about that in like the 5th mudra. Okay, so here's the first one. I am light. The next one is, did I leave anything on? No. Okay. Yeah, take notes. The next one is I am life. Now this is a trip here, and what I'm doing is I'm creating a cup with my hand, and I'm holding it reverently. Life is to be revered. Life is to be, is to be, you should like it. It would be a good thing if you liked life. Now, when you hold this cup, this is called the chalice mudra. When you hold this empty cup, you're looking at it, and after a while, the information that comes to you says, life is empty. Uh-oh, wait a minute. Life is empty? Life has no meaning? It's empty? It's a chalice. It's the Holy Grail. Guess what? That's a good thing. It's a good thing that life has no meaning, that it's an empty cup. You know why, don't you? Because now you get to give it meaning. See? You get to give your life meaning. So you don't have to search for the meaning of life and go climb the Himalayas and find all these gurus and teachers. Tell me the meaning of life. Yeah. Life has the meaning that you give it. This institution, you in this institution, has the meaning that you give it. You give it a negative meaning, and you're going to walk out of here with this negative knapsack. If you think that this is the best thing that ever happened to me, that's a stretch, I know. It's a stretch. But if you start thinking in that way, then it will be. And don't tell me you can't do it, because I just saw Nelson Mandela a couple of years ago get out of 27 years in prison, and all he thought about was how much he can give to his community, how much he could give back, how much he could learn while he was in there. 27 years for a bum charge, too. 27 years in prison, walked out and became president of his country. So that's the kind of meaning that you can give to your existence, because life comes to you empty and without meaning. So when I'm sitting here saying, I am life, that's really the highest truth. So I am light, I am life. High truth about who we are. Huh? Pretty cool, huh? Gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. Because I've done it so often that I really have some real energy with it. And that's what we do when we practice. When we practice every single day, when we do ritual every single day, and we start speaking the highest truth about who we are, that becomes the truth, because you're the creator, right? You are the creator of your life. Made in the image and likeness of God and all of that stuff. You're the creator. You've created your life. You got here by your decisions. Yeah? Yeah? So you're the creator. And you haven't done so well. But now it's time to change, to do something different. So now we go from I am life, I am love. I am light, I am life, I am love. Boy, being in love is a cool thing. It's a very cool thing. When you are love, you are the most powerful human being on this planet. Because you are attached, making that seal to that most powerful energy on this planet. And if you don't believe me, just imagine, don't imagine this too hard because we wouldn't want it to happen, but imagine if we took the energy of love off the planet for about, I don't know, 15 minutes. Wouldn't be no more planet, baby. So love is sort of kind of the glue that holds everything together. So when I'm saying I am love, I'm tapping into a power that, that's extraordinary. And this is not something that only I can do, because I know that this is something that every single human being, have any arguments about you being love yet? See? Now watch your arguments, or watch your own internal arguments when you're doing this. Sometimes resistance is a good teacher. You know, if you resist doing some of this stuff and you know it's good for you, look at that resistance. Okay, and don't pick on yourself for not doing this or not getting it or not having feelings about it or anything. Just continue to try and do it as often as you can until it becomes as strong inside of you that it is inside of me and many, many more of my friends around the world who are doing this. So I am love. There's another little trick thing. You know, when you start doing I am love, guess what you see with your eyes? Other people who are also that same thing, just like the namaste thing. See? So everything that we do to change our perception of others also changes our perception when we look in the mirror. And every time we change our perception when we're looking in the mirror, we change our perception of ourselves, we also change our perception of everybody else around us. So this is a very cool thing to do. And kids just absolutely love this. They just absolutely love it. Teach your kids this. Before they take a test, do the mudra of lighting. Huh? Get into that highest energy that you are. Okay, so here's the next one. From I am love to I am beauty. I am beauty. This is, I call this the Tarzan pose, the Tarzan mudra. I am beauty. Yeah, I had 60 tattooed up violent guys in my class last night at Narco, CRC. And they're sitting there, I am beauty, and they yell it, you know. And man, some of them are really ugly, too. But the best thing about that is when you say I am beauty, you're not saying I am beautiful. So you don't have to run to some magazine and find out what beautiful is this week, you know? So you're not comparing yourself to anybody or anything. You're just saying, I am beauty. I am the energy of beauty. And every single one of you knows that that's the truth about you. You may have some other little voices back, you know, little voices, you know. You may have some other little voices that having bad hair day, or your boobs are too small or too big or whatever, you know. But when you say I am beauty, it transcends all of that judgment and all of your opinions about yourself and about others. Right? So I am beauty. And every one of these things, every one of these mudras has got some, a lineage of intelligence, of wisdom behind it, you know? It's got some wisdom behind it. And the thoughts are very, very clear. They're very clear and very simple. Not only that, we're using the I am, which is the mantra that Jesus gave us. It's the same mantra as the Om in the Hindus. It's the same mantra as the Aum in the Buddhists. It's the same mantra as the Ayin in the Kabbalah, the Jewish mysticism. It's the same mantra as the Aum, which is the first in the second and third chapters of the Quran, is the first surah. Yeah. So it has, all of these have the same energy. So when I say I am, I'm really creating myself. I am, fill in the blank. And as long as I keep saying I am something, then that's what I am going to manifest into the world. Yeah? So here I am beauty. I am beauty. Okay? Now the reason I can do this and have so much fun doing it, because it doesn't matter what you think of me. That's cool, huh? You like that, huh? You like that, huh? We were just talking this morning. There was a friend of mine from years ago, Terry Cole Whitaker, and she wrote a book called "What You Think of Me Is None of My Business." That's a very cool line. Now, you don't have to say that out loud to the cops or anybody. You know. What you think of me is none of my business. No, but inside, see, so you can be free to be yourself.
Enjoy.
I just turned water into wine. Tastes like wine to me. That's how it works. You know? Ever been real thirsty? You take that sip of cold water, and it's better than wine. See? That's how it works. So you decide what your experience is with a glass of water, too. Okay. So I am beauty. Next one is I am the sweet truth. So I touch my lips and I say I am the sweet truth. Well, this is pretty powerful too. This has got a whole list of wisdom behind it. You ever get up in the morning and say, yeah, I'm feeling really good today. My hair came out all right. Yeah. Looking good. And somebody walks up to you. As soon as you walk out, and they say, man, you look tired. You all right? Well, that might be the truth for them, for that person. But it's not sweet. It's not the sweet truth. Now, what would happen if we only spoke the sweet truth? What a pretty world it would be. What fun it would be to hang out with each other when we're only speaking the sweet truth. One of the things some of the information that I got back from this particular one was that, man, all of a sudden I start to listen. I start to listen. Not only am I looking at my words to make sure that I'm not doing anything to attack anybody or to send these little vibes out there. You know, I'm just not doing it anymore. The other thing is I'm starting to listen to other people. See? I'm starting to listen to what they're saying too. And now I'm deciding whether I want to hang around with that person or not. If that person is always complaining, always kvetching, that's a nice word for saying bitching, kvetching, that's not a Sanskrit word. There may be some people that I want to hang around with because all they do is poison my atmosphere. Huh? So when I say I am the sweet truth, I'm experiencing that. I'm becoming aware of it. I'm waking up. See, all of these things, I'm waking up. I'm becoming very, very aware of what's going on around me. Okay? And that's a very good thing, because if you're aware, then ain't no cop going to sneak up behind you and take you away from your house. So, one way of looking at it. When you stay awake in your life to what's going on around you, you feel the energy that's around you, and you know what the right thing to do is. And in fact, every single one of you knew that you were going to get busted. Every one of you knew. And you know why you didn't pay attention? Because you're walking around asleep. So all of these things in this way of stopping yourself and putting yourself into another energy, they increase your awareness. They expand your consciousness, you know. You've been this big, okay? Here you are, and you've been walking around in your world, and you want this thing over here, and this thing over here, and this thing over here, and you can't figure out why you don't get it. Well, you got to draw a bigger circle. You got to draw a great big circle. And then all of those things that you want will become part of your reality. You've been playing small. That's why you're here, because you've been playing small. So now it's time to expand our consciousness, to open up our minds, to wake up and start to play large. And you can play large doing anything. You can play large no matter what you are, who you are, or where you've been. You can start to play large. Play in a larger field. And then this thing that you wanted over here, you may be working way over here, but your circle's getting bigger, and pretty soon that thing that you want will be within that circle. See? Okay? So I am the sweet truth. And I want to speak the truth. and I don't have to remember anything. I spent about 25 years in drugs and alcohol. I've done a little Dane Bramage, you know, so just a little bit now. Okay, so here's the next one. I have the sweet truth. I see only the enlightened. So I cover up my eyes and I say, I see only the enlightened. Now what the heck is that? Well, one of the things it is, you ever hear that story about the little kid? He's in the barn and he's playing on a pile of horse shit. Yeah? And he said, man, if there's this much horse shit in here, there must be a pony around somewhere, you know? Yeah? So he's playing in the crap and yet he's looking for the pony. That's seeing only the enlightened. That's seeing the best of any situation, no matter what the situation is. Seeing the best in it. And that best may hurt you too. It may hurt you, but it will also make you deeper. It'll also make you deeper. Okay? And that's a good thing to do. And you know why it's a good thing to do? Because there's lots of storms out here. And the biggest ship is tossed about by those storms. But if you're the submarine and you're thinking deeper, the storm doesn't even bother you. So that's what we're doing. We're attempting to see the best that we can see in any situation. And boy, once you get good at it, people will run to you. They will pay you money to tell them the highest truth. Yeah? How are we doing so far, all right? Yeah? Okay. So I see only the enlightened. A blind person couldn't possibly understand. Oh, they're having a war between the blacks and the browns over in South Central. Huh? Between the what? Having a war between colors? What the hell is that all about? See, when you do it like that, having a war between colors, does that make any sense at all? None. You know where it makes sense? When you only see the lampshade and you don't see the light. You're just looking at the lampshade. We all look different. There's 6 billion of us on this planet. We're all different. So it's sort of silly sometimes when we don't see the enlightened, when we get this judgment, we lock it into the meat, and the meat doesn't know any better. It doesn't know any better until you teach it, until you train it. It just operates the same way as you've been operating all this time. Okay. I see only the enlightened. I am my joyful thoughts. Joyful thoughts sort of look like this. You can give each other joyful thoughts too. Want some joyful thoughts? Oh, you soup. So I am my joyful thoughts. Now, remember, I'm not saying that I'm having joyful thoughts all the time. As a matter of fact, this stuff doesn't always work. You got to know that it doesn't always work, and number two is that you'll forget. That's what we do as human beings. We remember, we forget. Remember, forget. Remember, forget. That's what we do. And that's why it's important to do some ritual or ceremony every single day so you remember for that day. So what good does it do to have anything other than joyful thoughts? It doesn't do any good at all. It doesn't help anybody. And it certainly doesn't help you. Anybody in here worry? No? Oh, good. Good for you. Gave up. Stop it. Stop it. Now, if you can't stop yourself, and get a brick. If you can't stop yourself, at least you can begin to pay attention to your thoughts. See? When you say, I am my joyful thoughts, when you have thoughts that are not joyful, you're aware of them. And until you're aware of the way you think, you can't stop yourself from thinking. First, you got to be aware. So all of these techniques will make you aware. When you rub your eye, you'll say, I wonder whether I'm seeing this situation in the most enlightened way, you know. You touch your lips, you think about the sweet truth. You touch your forehead like this, and you remember, am I having joyful thoughts today? See? So once you become aware, you're starting to wake up to what's going on inside of you, life becomes easier. It just becomes easier. Life becomes more gentle. You become more loving and more peaceful. And everybody around you does too, because that's the energy that you're putting out. What you put out is what you get back. Yeah? You know, it's like karma. Karma is a Sanskrit word, again, that means what you put out is what you get back. It's like a pebble in a pond, you know. You drop the pebble in the middle of the pond and the ripples go out, and where do the ripples come back to? To the source. See? So we got to start watching what we're thinking. You think God doesn't hear the prayer inside your head just because you haven't spoken it out loud? You keep saying it over and over again. You think God is that restricted that can't hear you? Hello? You know? I mean, if that's your belief system. If it's not your belief system, it doesn't matter. Take it totally personally. Forget about God and just remember what you're doing to yourself. You're constantly dissing yourself when you're not having joyful thoughts. You're constantly draining your energy. You're throwing away your energy. Right? So, I am my joyful thoughts. Hmm? Tequila this time. Did I tell you I didn't draw a sober breath for 25 years in a row? Talk about being in prison. I was out there on the street walking around my body and driving my car and had jobs and all that kind of stuff and relationships, and I was in prison. We got all kinds of prisons, huh? You know, right now you are probably less imprisoned than half the population of this planet. You are probably less imprisoned than 3 billion people. There's 6-point-something billion people on this planet. And you know, 3 billion of them have never talked on the telephone, have never been in an automobile, have never driven a car, never been in an automobile. 3 billion people. And they got struggles like crazy. More imprisoned than you. Oh. I was looking for the worm. I think I just got it. So I am my joyful thoughts. Now this is the most esoteric and hard to explain, this next one. I am my joyful thoughts, which I join together as one. Now, this particular mudra is a Sikh mudra. Sikhs are the towel heads, you know, guys that walk around with towels and women who walk around with towels on their heads. I have a lot of friends that are Sikh, so it's not disparaging. I call them towel heads in front of them. But this is a Sikh mudra that breaks the addiction cycle. If you do this for 30 minutes for 41 days, 30 minutes a day for 41 days, now if you put your arms down and go like this, you got to start over again. And what it does is, it's bringing your hands in a prayer position in the middle of your forehead, and your shoulders will hurt, and your arms will hurt, and you will put your hands down. And then you got to start over again. I mean, you don't have to start over again that day. You got to start over again the whole 41 days. The whole 41 days. But it will break the addiction cycle if your addiction is only misconnections, you know. It will. But what we're doing here is when we take our joyful thoughts and we join them together into one thought, we're asking to have one underlying thought that's clear. One thought of clarity. You know, if you want to manifest something in the universe, there is no way that you can do it without having a clear picture of what it is. You go in to buy a car and you don't know what color you want, you can stand in the lot all day long. Huh? And you don't know what kind of wheels it's got on or whatever it is that you're trying to buy. If you don't have a clear thought, you will never figure it out. You will never manifest that into your life. So we need to have clear thinking. Clear thinking comes from your intention. My daily intention has turned into my lifelong intention because I'm too tired of all of these intentions that I have all the time. So my daily intention was, did I love well today? That's the question that I ask myself every night when I go to bed. Did I love well today? Okay? Now, I've changed that into my life's intention. Now I'm going to get down. Here's your life. And your life is this long. This long. You start here, you become the I, and you end here. And this is the end of your life, okay? Now you're dead. So now I'm over here and I'm dead. And I'm looking back at my life. Did I love well? That's the question that I want to be able to say yes to when I'm on my deathbed. I've done a lot of hospice work. I work with attitudinal healing with children who are dying and people, little kids with cancer and leukemia and all that kind of stuff. And I've never had one single person who's on their deathbed say, oh man, I should have worked more. Every single person who I've ever had the experience with, I should have loved more. I should have loved more. I know you don't want to should on yourself all the time, but it's a very good thing to put in your consciousness that the only thing that's ever going to be important in your life, the only thing that's lasting is your love. Did you love well? Were you good at that? Because if you're good at that, nothing else matters. Yeah? Is that true? Huh? And speaking of loving, if you want to be a good lover, you better learn how to be present. You better learn. I'm going to take a little side trip here. You better learn. You ever been in? This is not for you, of course, but some other people in the back seat of the car. Yeah, I wonder if I have enough gas to get home. I know that you've never done that, but some people might do that. That's a lousy lover, thinking about whether they got enough gas to get home. They're not there. That's a lousy lover. Or the last time I was like this, that son of a bitch hurt me. Huh? That's the past. There's the past, there's the future. See? So when I say you better be in the present moment, these rituals and this mudra brings you into the highest truth in this particular moment, which is truly the only time that there is. There's a story about this. It's in the little booklet here, but I'll tell it just because I like to tell stories. There's a story about this monk, and he's walking through the jungle. He's just walking around looking at the birds and stuff. All of a sudden, this tiger comes out of the jungle, and he starts booking, man. He's got his robes up, and he's running just as fast as he can, getting away from that tiger. Tiger's right on his tail, and he's running so fast he doesn't see this cliff. So he runs right out into this cliff, you know, like the coyote in the Roadrunner cartoon runs out in the air, you know. And he's out there running in the air, and he starts falling down the cliff. And there's a branch sticking out of the cliff. And it grabs its robes and stops him from falling, you know, just snags onto his robes. So he's holding on to the branch. Whew, man, that was scary. And he looks up, and there's no way that he can crawl back up. You know, he's got his little monk shoes on and stuff. And no way he can crawl back up. And even if he could, there's the tiger ready to eat him up there, you know. Oh, well, he can't get back up there. And he looks down, and there's 1,000 meters to the rocks below. If he lets go of this branch, he's history. And he hears this. There's a woodpecker pecking on his branch. And right where he's holding on, he sees some red berries. And he starts eating these berries. He's, man, these are good. These are the sweetest, best berries I ever ate. Now, what would you do? A lot of people say I'd throw some blueberries at that bird. It's the first thing I'd do. But he's sitting there. So this is a guy who's fully present, who knows that this moment is the only time that there is. See? He's eating those berries. There's the past, and there's the future. See? So now is the only time that there is. Now, right now. Have you ever read something and you finish reading it and you have no idea what you read? All the time. You know why? Because you weren't there. Your mind was wandering into the future or into the past. When you're fully present, your studies will get easier. You'll be able to read. So you keep teaching yourself to be in the present moment. Now, in this present moment, there ain't an addict in this room. Huh? See? I can't do one day at a time. It's way too long. I can have 33 million thoughts in a day, but I can do one breath at a time. Okay? I can walk in the world one breath at a time. And in that time, when I'm breathing, inhaling and exhaling that one breath, I got no labels on me. I'm not an addict. I'm free. So moving into the present moment and teaching the meat how to stay present is a very important, critical maneuver if you want to be a great lover. And I mean a great lover of the world, too. Okay? You got to be present. Okay. So we join our thoughts into one. So I am my joyful thoughts, which I join together as one and offer it to God as my gift. This is the next mover. And offer it to God as my gift. Now what happens, a couple of things happen when you open up your arms like this. This is a great way to get up in the morning because you stretch, you open up your arms to the universe, to what the day has to offer for you, and it opens your chest, you know, it opens up your heart chakra, it opens up your chest, it also puts you in a position to receive. And you know, we're always when everybody prays, yeah? I mean, everybody in the world prays in some way or another. Even if you're an agnostic, you're still praying. Well, I wish this didn't happen. You know? So that can be a prayer too. When you pray, you're always asking for stuff. And as long as you keep asking for stuff, you won't have it. As long as you keep saying, I want, God says, okay, you want. So now you're living in the land of want. So that's what we're doing. We're changing that around. We're giving ourselves to the universe, if you don't like the God word. Give myself to God as my gift, to the universe, right? Instead of to God, if that's what you want to say. So I'm creating a whole different way of being in the world when I do that. Okay. So I offer it to God as my gift. How are we doing so far? Am I all right? And for those of you that came in late, all this stuff is written down on a piece of paper, and all these people who know all this stuff now, these are all expert teachers here. So anybody that came in late, just find one of these people, and they will give you all of this information, word for word. Because they're all fully present, and they're getting all of this information. And sometimes it doesn't work, and you'll forget. I just want to throw that in again. Sometimes the moon ain't right, and the stars ain't right, and my body isn't right, and the checkbook isn't right, and there's a lot of things that ain't right, and all of the meditation practice and all of the mudras and all of the affirmations in the world sometimes don't work. But don't pick on yourself, because if you continue to do them, they'll work again. They'll start to work again. Now it's water this time. Yeah, still good. Okay, the next one from here is my will and your will are the same. Now in the Eastern tradition, they talk about chakras or energy wheels. And what it is, the whole chakra system in a nutshell is this force, the spirit that breathes us, comes in through the top of our heads, and then it goes down And through these energy wheels, these 7 inner chakras, that energy is dispelled to, or put out to the places where it needs to go. That's why my heart pumps blood instead of digesting my food, you know. So there's some intelligence, some major intelligence that's going on inside of this body. And while I'm speaking about that intelligence and the will, our will, right? You know, I can look in my computer and I can tell you where, oh, I don't know, Jupiter, the planet Jupiter. I can tell you where it's going to be 312 years from now on this date. The computer can calculate it, and it'll tell you that Jupiter is going to be right there. Yeah? Now, if that ain't intelligence, I don't know what is. 300 and some years from now, I can tell you that Jupiter is going to be right there. Does that tell you something? That the world works? The big balls hang up there in the sky, in the right place, all the time. Your eyes don't grow in your butt when you're born. They grow in your head. There's intelligence, there's wisdom, there's this cosmic intelligence that we live in. So when I release myself from my will, or make my will the same as the higher will, whatever that higher will is, I no longer have to worry. I can relax, knowing that everything I do, as long as I'm in balance, mind, body, spirit, yeah, as long as I'm in balance, all I got to do is walk in the world. And the world will unfold at my feet. See? All I got to do is be steady and balanced and come from that love, and I will be following the higher will. You ever seen any of these studies about identical twins separated at birth? This is sort of a trip. A whole bunch of universities have done these studies where they've taken 2 people who were identical twins who were adopted by different families, lived in different places, and most of them didn't even know that they had a brother or sister, whatever it was. But the universities have gone back and found these people and then taken their history. You know, when you were 10 years old, you did this, and you were 10 years old, you did this. They've taken their history and they've matched them up. So here's one set of identical twins. I'll relate this, the consistencies with this one set of identical twins. Both of these guys were now 46 years old when they found them. They didn't know, neither one of them knew that they had a brother. Both of the families named them Jim. I guess it was, I don't remember, I think it was Jim. James. Both of the families named them James. Well, that's a coincidence, you know, 46 years ago or whatever it was a pretty common name, you know, there was lots of Jims around, like lots of Marys, you know. Now we have these names that, anyway, that's another, there I go again, somewhere else. Come back, Dan. So these 2 guys are named Jim. When they were in grade school, they were both good in math and they were lousy at spelling. When they went to high school, they played the same sports, and they both got ulcers. They both had some stomach problems when they were in high school, 15, 16 years old. They both graduated high school, and both went to college to become architects. So some of this stuff, you know, if you have something going on genetically, you know, you can both have ulcers and stuff like that, and you can both be good at math and lousy at spelling. You know, that's within the realm of possibility that we have sort of the same stuff going on inside of us. So these 2 guys were both went to college to become architects. They both married a woman by the name of Betty. 2 years later, they both divorced Betty and married a woman by the name of Carol. Okay? With Carol, they both had a son, and they both named their sons James Allen. Right? One of them spelled it A-L-A-N, one of them spelled it A-L-L-E-N. As I said, they were both architects. They were both working in the field of architecture in different cities, designing residential housing. They both had a Dodge Dart and a poodle named Toy. Okay, now it's no longer genetics. Now it's just weird. But, but in every one of these identical twin studies, where the identical twins were brought up in loving households where the people really wanted to adopt them and really allowed them to live their lives, you know, and just supported them in living their lives instead of telling them what to do. Every one of these twin studies, the lives were parallel. It was incredible. Where there was a dysfunctional family or two dysfunctional families, there were still some matchups, but not, you know, not dysfunctional nuts, you know. Forget dysfunctional. It puts too much of a flavor on it. You know, most of our parents were nuts. Anyway, that's another story. So here's what happens here. And remember, we're working on my will and your will are the same, okay, this particular mudra and affirmation. Here's this egg that becomes two separate individuals, both born at the same time, you know, and now they're off into the world. So the intelligence, some of the intelligence that was in this first egg was their future. Okay? Now there's lots of these studies. What does that show me? That I have a destiny to fulfill, as do you and as do all of us. There's a code that's built inside of us already, right? There is a code, just like there's prophecy in the world, there's a code that's built inside of us that if we come from a loving place and we come from this balanced mind, body, spirit, triangle, pyramid shape, whatever it is, if we come from that, then our lives again will unfold. We can be in the flow of life. The flow of life, okay? It's a very easy way of being in the world. You may still have to work hard, but you won't call it that. Mm-hmm. You still work hard. And you don't have to go around, oh, I'm working so hard. Okay, so my will and your will are the same. This is a very, very freeing technique. Very freeing technique, as are all of these. My will and your will are the same as I live from my heart. From my heart, as I live from my heart. Now, living from your heart is not living in your heart. When you live in your heart, it hurts. In fact, sometimes it doesn't hurt so much as you become a soap opera when you're living in your heart. You have all of these struggles going on, and you're always sad and you know, mood swings and all that kind of stuff. But when you're living from your heart, it's telling you that all you have to do, if you're, there's probably a couple of turbo thinkers in here. I see some gray hair, so there's probably a couple of turbo thinkers in here. What you're doing when you're living from your heart, you're moving your mental energy down into your heart, to the center of your being. You're just moving everything that you do and how you project yourself out into the world, you're moving it from here. So now you're extending yourself into the world from your heart. So you're living from your heart. And the last one, I live from my heart and give all of my love to the world. And now you're back in position one. So you just put your fingers together and you're back to I am light. So it's 12 positions. It's a very simple thing to do. Let me talk about this last one and then we'll do it together. When I give all of my love to the world, man, I go to sleep at night, it's a piece of cake. I'm just happy. It's no matter what I've done, I've loved well that day, and I feel pretty good about myself no matter what my situation is, no matter what my circumstances are. And I may be a very loving person, but I'm only given 90%, I am dissatisfied. So you can be very cool and very loving, but if you're holding back, I saw a couple of signs in Mr. Peck's office about not keeping secrets. When you're holding back your love, you're not giving 100% of your love to your relationships, or to the world, you are going to remain dissatisfied and you won't ever know why. I've been a loving person, but you've been holding back this 10% or this 49% or whatever it is because you're afraid, because you want to control somebody, because you want to manipulate somebody. So I'll hold back my love. Forget it. You are going to stay dissatisfied from holding back. And you think you're cool. And everybody else around you think, oh, what a loving person. And you're still walking around and they're telling you what a wonderful person are, and you ain't taking it. Because to the extent that you're not giving 100%, you'll be dissatisfied with yourself. You give 100% of your love to every situation that you're in, and you will be satisfied because you've done your best. When I give all of my love to the world, I got nothing to look at in the mirror but love. I got no judgments about myself at all. What a cool thing to do, is to not judge myself. And once I don't judge myself in the mirror, I don't have to judge you either. Cool, huh? And when I don't judge you, I don't judge myself, and then we're all walking around just happy to help each other, to do what we can for each other, and have a good life. So here's the prayer that goes with it. A friend of mine from Argentina wrote this prayer. It's on the back of both of these things. It says, "We are as beautiful leaves in the garden of God, softly flowing in the light, full of life and extending love. Who cares about illusions of separation or differences? We know deep in our hearts the sweet truth is always present. So whenever the flowing leaf gets stuck by an outside fact or thought, patience, understanding, and loving more are the blessed opportunities. And when all doors are open, as they do constantly when we gather in the name of God, the whole universe rejoices." Okay. I am light. Let's get everybody on the same page here. Wait a minute. We'll try again. I am light. You can repeat after me. I am life. It's all right. This is very cool. I am love. Makes you giggle, huh? I am beauty. Yeah, I'm sexy too. Yeah. You can do this any way you want it. It's cool. I am the sweet truth. I see only the enlightened. I am my joyful thoughts. Which I join together as one. And offer it to God as my gift. My will and your will are the same. As I live from my heart. And give all of my love to the world. Cool, huh? Some of you still think this might be bad luck here, being in prison, huh? You still might be walking around thinking this is bad luck. So I'll tell you another story. How much time we got, by the way? Is the tape rolling? Really? Man, I don't know if I have that many words. Yeah, I do. 2:15, all right. It's a good compromise there. Yeah. White men can't dance. There is this there was this Chinese farmer. All these little stories are in this booklet, too. There was this Chinese farmer. Oh, let me tell you about this booklet, then I'll tell you about the Chinese farmer. This is about practicing peace for one day, one lousy day, January 1st, the year 2001. We did it last year in prisons all around the world. One day without an incident. You know, the only reason there are prisons is because you're here, okay? Duh. We could shut down all these prisons around the world. Well, not all of them, because there are some nuts out there that need to be in prison, you know? But there wouldn't be as many prisons and so much of a problem with prisons if there weren't so many prisoners. So we're the ones that are going to change the system. We are the ones. The administration isn't going to do it. They can't, maybe don't know how. Huh? They're just not going to do it. But when we all become peaceful, when prisoners become better human beings and become peaceful and loving, we can shut these places down. I'm going to invent a machine one of these days. And yeah, everybody will have other jobs to do. Don't worry about, oh, they're going to lose my job if they shut down the prison. Don't worry, there's a better job for you out there someplace else. When one door closes, thank you. So this little Peace in Prison 2001 thing is, says how to practice peace. Well, it's got a whole bunch of stuff in it, like some of these stories. But I also want to show you some other things in here that, well, let's pick this one. This is practice 3. This is about meditation. Meditation technique, besides the mudra of light. Here's the words. Breath sweeps mind. Breath sweeps mind. Your mind is, you're getting caught up in your thoughts and your anxieties and your fear. Breath sweeps mind. So see, every one of these little things in this booklet has more. It's just not the words. Breath sweeps mind. What does that mean? Now you know what it means. And if you thought about it long enough, just with these words, you would understand it. That's what I'm talking about, a deeper way of thinking in the world. Let's think a little bit deeper so the storms don't rattle us quite so much. The next one is rest in God. Boy, this is a good one, especially if you can't sleep. Can't sleep? I rest in God. It's very good. It works very well. Repeat that a few times when you're having some trouble sleeping. And even if you don't go to sleep, you'll start feeling okay. So that's what all these little stories and little sayings and stuff are in here. A friend of mine up in Lompoc who's doing life said, God, thank you for giving me life. Thank you for giving me life. You got lifers in this institution? Yeah, they're going to stay here for a long time? They still have their life. They're still being breathed by that loving energy. They're still magnificent human beings. Just had a mistaken thinking at one particular point. A mistaken thinking, okay? So we can release ourselves from judgment by just thanking. And while I'm on the subject of thanking, start keeping a gratitude journal. If you can't get yourself out of the way, start keeping a gratitude journal. You will train the meat to look for things to be grateful for. Okay? Okay? If you already trained yourself to find everything wrong, if you're a fault finder, I'm a great fault finder. I'm very good. You know, I can find fault with anything. Yeah, you know, I used to be in the advertising business years ago. I could look at a whole big newspaper like this, and there's some guy over here who says, "Come to our store Saturday only," and he doesn't have his address in there. The first thing I'm going to look at, first thing I'm going to see in the whole newspaper is the mistake in that ad. So I'm a very good fault finder. But once my wife and I started keeping a gratitude journal about just little things, it might be a sweet apple. It might be a smile from a friend. You will train the meat to start searching out the next day after you do this tonight. Write down a couple of things that you're grateful for today. Tomorrow you'll start to look for things to be grateful for instead of looking for things to complain about. And that's as easy as it is to train the mind to be in the world in a different way. Okay. So this Chinese farmer had a horse. So he was pretty rich because he had a horse. And One day his horse ran away, and all the other farmers said, "Oh man, what bad luck, your horse ran away." And he says, "Yeah, maybe bad luck, maybe good luck." Good luck? How can it be good luck? His horse ran away. About a week later, his horse comes down out of the mountains by itself. He's got 10 other wild horses with it. Walks into the corral, the farmer puts the stick up, now he's got 11 horses. And all the other farmers say, "Oh man, what good luck, you're the richest dude in the whole province." This is the way these Chinese farmers talk. "You're the richest dude in the whole province." He says, "Yeah, maybe good luck, but maybe bad luck." "How can it be bad luck? He's so rich." Another week goes by and his son is out trying to tame one of the horses and he gets kicked off and breaks his leg. "Oh man, what bad luck. You're going to have to do twice as much work around the farm. Your son's going to be laid up for 6 months." And he says, "Yeah, maybe bad luck, maybe good luck." One more week goes by and they come out to conscript all the young men to take them off to war. Sorry, can't go. So your judgment is the only thing that makes the difference here. Is this good luck or is this bad luck? Now, having that, we have a choice now. Is it good luck? Is it bad luck? We bring those hands together, and it's no longer good luck or bad luck. It's just destiny. You decide whether it's good luck or bad luck. You decide. You have a choice now. Once you release yourself from judgment, you release yourself from opinions, now you have a choice. And until you get to that neutral place, boy, all that backpack is going to be heavy on you. So you release yourself just by saying, "I am light." And you can usually, when you do the mudras, you can do it just like we did it just now. You can sit over a 12-day period and just sit for some time saying, "I am light, I am light, I am light." And you can repeat it like that, like a mantra. You would repeat it to make that stick in your brain. You know them songs that every once in a while you hear one of them songs and it just sticks in your brain and you go, "Ah, get out of there." Well, now we're doing it on purpose. We're trying to stick something in there that'll stay, that'll have some positive effect. So you can do it like that, or you can just sit and you can say, "I am light," and just wait. Just wait, not doing anything more. Not doing, just being. Okay? We're human beings. We're not human doings. We're human beings. You've all heard that before. Now I just want to be is all. Okay? What a gift for you all to be here and for you to give me your attention. I'm truly blessed by your presence. This, getting warm up here. Having a hot flash. After all, I am of that age, you know. Now I'm past that age. This little Rumi poem that I have on the back side of this, I'll close with, and then we'll talk questions or whatever you want to do until they kick us out. This is the last thing I want to close with. It's a poem from Rumi. Rumi was a very prolific writer about the year 1400 or somewhere in there, 1400, something like that. This one strikes me. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. It doesn't matter. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Come, even if you have broken your vow 1,000 times. Come, yet again. Come, come. Even if you've broken your vow 1,000 times, you can still come to the realization of who you really are, the truth, the sweet truth of who you really are. So, questions? Yes, ma'am.
How will we be able to get the book?
Chicken soup? We're in the midst of trying to get some printed right now. We only printed 50,000 copies. They cost us about $2 a piece, so we only had 100 grand to do it. So we printed 50,000 copies and started sending them out. Now we're trying to raise, I think, something like $4 or $5 million to get 1 million copies into the hands of prisoners around the country. I have 3 stories in it. The reason I'm into it. And it's pretty powerful. Oh, there's an envelope for donations here. Oh, there's 2 envelopes. Here. Send money. No checks. Anyway, you can write to me. My address is on that thing, and as we get them, I'll send them to you. If you'll let me know where you are. It's all right. You can write me. I got volunteers. I won't answer the mail, by the way. I'll let you I'll let you off the hook. I may mail you something, but I won't answer your mail personally because I do get a lot of correspondence. Okay, next question. Yes, ma'am. What point did I decide to? Where was the choice point? Choice point. Okay. March 3rd, 1979, I came home from as I said, I've been married for 31 years in a couple of months, I think. 31, 32. I better know this. There goes that tape again. I came home after a couple of days, and my wife didn't know where I was. It was sort of a usual thing the first 9 or 10 years that we were married. And she said, "That's it. I've had enough of you. Out. You're out of here." And I said, "No, please." I think it might have been cold or raining that night or something. But I knew she was serious. My wife is a serious redhead. My wife runs the Florence Crittenton home. Do you know the Florence Crittenton schools? Yeah. My wife's the education director for Florence Crittenton. And so she's a serious, powerful woman. And when she kicked me out, I said, no, I don't want to go. I'll be good. And of course that was a lie, but I had to say something. But that night I did quit drinking, March 3rd, 1979. I just quit. And I didn't quit doing everything else that I was doing. That took a little while. But as soon as I quit drinking, as I said before, without clarity of thought, there's no way that you can fix yourself. So if you're talk about this mind, body, spirit thing, if you got troubles with your mind, you know it. If you think that you have some learning disabilities or it's hard for you to understand things in the world and stuff like that, work on your mind. Work on it. Take extra classes. Read stuff that you don't know nothing about. And then read it again and think about it in another way. Keep working and keep working until the mind is working. Okay? The body, too. Drink lots of water. Drink lots of water. Take 20-minute walks once or twice a day. You will feel better. I promise you, when you take a 20-minute walk, you'll feel better. In fact, it tells you that in this little booklet. Take a little walkabout. The Australians take walkabouts sometimes for years at a time. Where are you going? I'm going on a walkabout. Where are you going? A walkabout, you know. So start taking care of your body. You know intuitively what you shouldn't be doing. You shouldn't be smoking. You shouldn't be eating this kind of junk or whatever it is. You know. So once you start to wake up, you start to pay attention to those voices inside of you that knows what to do about having a healthy body. And for those of you who still smoke, you have no regard for your life. Hear that, Peck? I want you people to get on him, because this is a valuable human being that has no right to take his own life by smoking. So anybody that's in his class, better get on his butt. Because you gotta quit smoking. If you want to value your life, you can't go around poisoning yourself. I mean, alcohol, I'm into all things in moderation, you know? I like that idea. But alcohol and alcohol is poison. Why don't you take the flavor out of it, and if you like it that much, just drink the poison. Huh? Yeah. Just drink straight alcohol and watch how fast you die. So we have to start to pay attention to what's happening inside of us. So mind, body, spirit. If you don't have a spiritual connection, if you don't have a connection to God, a connection to spirit, you're in big trouble because there's always fear in your life. Now, I don't know how that is for you to find that connection. It might be just sitting here going, I am light, knowing that God is light and everything else is light. It might be just that until you find that connection. And now, mind, body, and spirit are being paid attention to. You're giving your mind, body, spirit separately your attention, and you're growing in that area. So you're drawing that bigger circle. You're constantly drawing that bigger circle. Emotionally, another part of it, mind, body, spirit, and emotions. Emotionally, if you've shut yourself off from your emotions, man, you got to turn that back on again. And I don't care how you turn it on, you have to have emotions. You have to experience grief. You have to experience loss, you know. I got a buddy of mine that comes in one of my classes whose wife was brutally murdered. He's a psychologist in Fullerton. His wife was murdered. And his wife's murderer might be in this room. Could be in this room. She's serving 25 plus. And the guy that was with her is serving, I think, double life. But he comes in with me. His wife was murdered. He comes in with me in my anger management classes to help people who are going through this prison experience, to teach them about loss and grief, and primarily to teach them about forgiveness. This is a magnificent human being. His wife was murdered, and he's coming into prison to try and help you learn about forgiveness and about feeling your losses and taking care of yourself in that way. So emotionally, it's very important to have emotional connections and be able to speak our minds, you know. Support groups where you can go talk about stuff that's going on. Very, very important in your life. Very important. What else? Anything else? Yeah. Oh, was I on that subject? Yeah, so I quit drinking, and then when I quit drinking, I didn't have anything to do. So I had to find something to do. So I started researching myself. I started trying to figure out who I was and how I worked in the world and all that kind of stuff. So I did. I'm glad you're taking notes, because I'd be off there somewhere. Yeah. Yeah, you're doing good. Any other questions? Anything else you want to know? I'm 50 years old, in case that was worrying you about how old I am, you know. I'm 50. Yeah, I love you. Oh, bad. What else? I told you I know everything, and you know why I said that? Because so do you. You know, you're using about, what, 5–10%? Einstein said when he was at his smartest, he was in his 20s. He was like 20 to 30 when he thought he was at his smartest. And he intuited that he was using about 5 or 10% of his mental capacity. And this was a pretty smart dude. He was using 5 or 10% of his mental capacity. Have you ever sat down and wanted to know something and said, geez, I really need to know this, and then you just sat and all of a sudden the information came to you? That's because you're open. When you open your mind, all information in the universe is yours. It's here for you. That's why you have 100,000 billion brain cells. 100,000 billion. That's a huge number of little neurons that are talking to each other in here in this meat. And you're only using this much. Me too. So we have a lot of room to evolve. We have a lot of room to grow, to expand our knowledge, and to expand our minds. We have a lot. Yes? We're all the same, you know. Okay. The whole world wants us to be different. The whole world wants us to be stupid. The whole world wants us to walk around like little, you know, they pound us with the media that you're not going to be happy until you drink this kind of beer, you know. What the hell is that? That's ridiculous. But that's what the media does to us. So it causes us to be like the lemming. It causes us to feel some kind of separation from the, you know, it's just not, this is not a very pleasant place to be until we all start to change our minds. And you are the master teachers because all of you have been there. You've been there. So you're the master teacher. You're the people that people are going to listen to. When you go back to your neighborhood, you know, I got a guy, I got one of my guys that the first thing I told him, you know, one of the I think it's in here, it says the words, how can I help? How can I help? That's another very, very good mantra to stick inside here. So when there's some conflict, you know, you can turn it into an opportunity by saying, how can I help? Well, you can be very helpful to every human being that you come in contact with, knowing that you are light and you are love and you are beauty. You can be that person that changes the world. You can be it. Mandela did it, 27 years in prison. Mother Teresa did it over in India. Those old wrinkled up hands of hers, my God. She never worried about getting sick, picking up thousands and thousands and thousands of lepers. Why? Because she came from her heart. She knew that the essence of her being was love, and that's all she truly was. And she was just a regular human being, just exactly like you and I, that just decided that she could be of some help in some way. So that mantra of how can I help? Man, go back to wherever you came from or stay in wherever you are if you have to stay here and be of help. And you will feel good about yourself. Okay, go ahead.
I think I have enough. Hey. How about now?
Yell.
I think there's enough. I think there's enough visa students in here to do this. I'd like to close with the version of the Serenity Prayer that we do in Visa. So some of you are going to notice this is just a little different. You might enjoy this as well. So if you'll follow me, or if you guys will follow me. God, grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change, the courage to change the one I can, and the wisdom to know it's me. So it is.